All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on the block. Igor, Joe, Raptors survived Game 7. I couldn't believe it.
Is the key word. What a shot! What a shot!
Probably one of definitely the craziest game I've been to in my life. That energy was crazy.
Yeah, you were fortunate, that's for sure.
As the video kind of shows, hadn't had that kind of environment that I've been at in a game in a long time. I remember those Cleveland went to the Eastern Finals a few years ago. It was pretty crazy. That Miami Heat series when Dwayne Wade was in town. I believe that was the same year actually because he played Indiana and then Miami. I remember Kyle Lowry hit a three-pointer from like half court to send the game to overtime. That was probably the last closest thing that I had seen. But man, the Kawhi legend continues.
My goodness, like what a shot, what a game. Like again, there's been debate over that shot was completely luck or completely skill. I think it was a mixture of both. I think he definitely practiced the shot. Obviously, I don't think he would have imagined it would have hit four rims. And again, I was out in New Jersey watching that. I went crazy at the bar.
The only Toronto man at the bar.
Toronto guy there, and then I got some high fives from the New Jersey crowd out there. So yeah, it was a moment. Like I couldn't believe it went in, to be honest with you. But showing some emotion from Kawhi was something that you don't really see. And man, I mean, what a way to get into the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean,
what a time to be alive for Raptors fans.
Shout out to Drake for wearing those Philly shorts.
We needed everything.
Yeah, we needed that curse, everything. So, all in all, on to the Bucks.
And we had talked about when the trade had happened. These were the moments that we were kind of talking about. That experience, championship experience, Finals MVP stuff. Now, getting back to the shot. Shout out to Lamar for not showing up. But, he had been on me and Joe and even you and everybody because he was waiting after Game 5 when the Raptors had smashed and everybody was thinking the series would be over in 6 going back to Philly. His line was, I got one more game in Philly, right? So I was like, you get your game. And they won. They came back, they smashed the Raptors, and then crickets right after Game 7. And I'm hearing not just from him, but even Stephen A. Smith, like we talked about, luck and all that. And what happens if the Raptors their game was tight anyways?
Well, I think with Stephen A., I think that the problem that he had is that he doesn't like coming to Toronto because of the whole lineups at the airport and not having global access. So he hates lining up at particular things. So now he has to come to Toronto. Most people love Toronto. I think I've heard Shaq, Charles love Toronto. Yeah. But again, I can see how customs would be a problem for some of them. But at the end of the day, like to me, the better team won. I mean, the best player in the series ended up coming up clutch. I think the Raptors are going to need. Getting on to the next series. They're going to need something different, in my opinion, if they're going to survive that Bucks team. And then if you look at the Philly team, there's going to be a lot of questions. I heard today some Ben Simmons for LeBron talk, and that's kind of crazy to me because, again, I don't see a reason why if LeBron wanted to go to Philly, he would have gone to Philly in the first place.
But now he's got options. He has a no trade clause or anything like that. If Jimmy Buss wants him out, because there's been lots of talk about that. How bad would that be to his legacy? Which we don't want to get into too much, but like if they send him packing after 1 year because they don't like what happened, not a good look.
But if you look at it, it's not a good look for the Lakers either. It might not be a good look for LeBron.
For both sides, yeah.
And then when the Lakers, the biggest critique of Ben Simmons is that he just doesn't shoot the ball. Like he's got no jump shot. He's been in the league for 3 years.
He's played 2, but
he's missed the first one. But again, he had the situation again. He can't shoot. He only took 5 shots in Game 7. And everything that he shoots is about 12 feet from inside the basket. And you can't have a guy with those kind of capabilities. He's got to develop a jump shot. If a man's afraid to shoot the ball in the NBA, it's a big problem. And it also makes it the teams match up. Again, you double Embiid. Sure, you have Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris and so forth, but I think that definitely caused a big problem for them because they knew that Simmons wasn't a threat from the perimeter whatsoever.
And you can change your defense.
And again, he's a big guy. He can get in the lane, quick player. But all in all, it was problematic. And then you look at their bench. Well, I think that's another issue that the Raptors are going to have.
Raptors as well, right?
Yeah, and then the Raptors bench. But when we're talking about the Bucks series, we'll definitely delve into that. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation, that's for sure.
But let's finish up with the Raptors, how they performed in that game. Siakam 11 and 11, 4 for 11 from the field. Not exactly what you want to see, right? Kawhi 41 and 8, Marc Gasol 7 and 11. Just took 8 shots himself, 3 for 8. You want to see a little bit more, but they got the W. Danny Green, 2 points in that game, played 30 minutes. I don't know if he played in the fourth quarter.
That's the problem. Again, I don't know what Kyle finished up with, but I know he didn't. I know he had a couple of decent
Kyle 10, 6 and 6, 4 for 13.
Which
right?
Again, it's not a terrible game, but it's definitely not one that you'd expect. Like I said, like I was on last time, I'm expecting at least Kyle to at least average about 14, 15 points in the series, right? So That's the biggest problem I think they're going to have, because I don't believe that if they rely on Kawhi Leonard to go off for
Get
40
35 or
points
40 every game.
for them to win, I think it's going to be a big problem, because I think while he was definitely the best player in that series, I think if you look at it and let's say like Giannis ends up, him and Kawhi end up going like toe to toe and equally like cancel each other out. If the Raptors or the rest of the Raptors don't come to play, they're going to lose the game. They're going to lose.
They're going to lose badly, yeah.
And lose quick, because again, if you look at the Philly starting five compared to the Milwaukee starting five, do I think the Philly starting five is a lot more talented?
On paper, yes.
On
paper, yes. But when you play the games, I don't think that there's that much of a discrepancy.
But the Bucks play it more as a team than the Sixers do. So do you have a guy like Jimmy Butler? No, not necessarily. It could be Middleton's there, but
Middleton doesn't really have bad games, and even Bledsoe, like you said, we talked about Bledsoe. Bledsoe and Lowry are very similar in the sense where it's like Lowry used to be a really good shooter, and I used to say that all the time, but he's shown this playoffs and a bit this season that's kind of in the past. But I wanted to also get to Serge, because Serge had a very big game, and he was one of the bigger reasons why they won. Now, he took a few threes. And those threes that he took, so he was 3 for 5 from 3. And a few of them, he was hesitating. He was like, he did not want to shoot the ball in the corner. And he threw it up.
The funny thing is, while I was in Jersey watching the game, and again, the sound was off at the bar, and I'm seeing him chuck up these threes. And I remember early in the season where he was like over 50.
He had a bad year.
And like he couldn't buy a three to save his life at some point. And he kept throwing them up. And I kept yelling out, no, don't do it. Like, don't do it. Because I saw him do that earlier on where he would fake the threes and go in and drive and get dunks. But he kept taking them, and then after I had the first two, and I'm like, okay,
he might have something
there. And then he hit another one. I'm like, I just turned to the person I was with, and I'm like, man,
it's one of those nights.
He's hit more threes here than he might have done in about 40 regular season games. So he was, again, they needed something, and again, had he not done that, then the Raptors would be at home right now, because then no one else really stepped up, and they looked tentative and scared. I think they mentioned that in a couple of broadcasts where they looked like they just wanted to throw the ball to Kawhi. No one wanted to take a shot. And they can't be doing that, especially at home in Game 7. It's a big deal.
So I was talking with Joe about the Raptors and that game, because we went together, and I was just saying, especially that was a good defensive matchup. It's the same as football. Sometimes you're not sure if it's a defensive matchup or if it's just a really struggle of offenses. Yeah. But I saw something on Instagram too where people kind of questioned if Jimmy Butler was a max player, and I had commented on it, and I was pretty much saying, he's the one guy on that team between Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris, where you can say, go get me a bucket, and he's actually going to go get you a bucket.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy had a rough Game 7 for the most part.
But he was still, I think he was their best player in the series from start to finish, right?
Like most consistent. Most consistent.
He brought it every night. Even if he didn't have his best shooting game, he brought that offense. And getting back to the point I was going to make with both sides and players in the playoffs, we're seeing with Siakam, we're seeing with a lot of guys where it's like, if you have a weakness in your game, and with Siakam, it's shooting. He can shoot the corner three if he's wide open.
Yeah,
but other than that, he's not a guy that's shooting between the restricted area and the three-point line. He's only shooting threes or he's going for layups. And they forced him to take those in-between shots which he was not comfortable taking. And he got exposed in that game too. Because kind of like Ben Simmons in a sense, he just didn't pull the trigger inside the three-point line. It was just strictly layups for him, right?
Yeah, he seems to be more comfortable shooting the threes from the outs on the corners. And anything besides the corners, he's a little bit more... he won't pull up.
He's not comfortable taking them, right? And it's the same thing with a lot of guys on the other team as well. Like I saw Tobias Harris, and I'm like, hey, this is a guy where when there's not as much pressure, I've seen it with the Clippers all year, he'd average, like 22 points a game. And you're like, okay, this guy's legit. Playoffs come, he turns into a hustle guy. It's like, okay, he'll take that layup, he'll get the rebound, right?
The those situations is that, again, having so many guys, and again, JJ was still the best shooter on the team. Like, there was just so much, there wasn't enough ball to go around. And then, again, so the Celtics had the same problem, and we'll get to them at some point. Those kinds of situations where guys are ball dominant players, like I was like screaming at the TV because the Raptors, especially the series, they kept, and Embiid's not a bad 3-point shooter. He's not great.
Capable.
They kept biting on that same
fake.
That
drove me crazy.
I don't know how, because at the end of the day, if he wants to take that shot, I would allow him to take the shot because he's about 30% shooter. Yeah. Like let him take it. But they kept doing the same thing where he would jump at him, and then he'd give him the easy lay, and he'd do the same move. He'd come in, and then when he lay it in, he'd get fouled, right after. And then there's the airplane and so forth. Like, there's no need for that. And again, the Bucks series is going to be more of matchups and who can expose who and who plays better. I mean, the Bucks had some guys that really had a rough series against Boston. Not everyone excelled. Like Brook Lopez had a pretty rough series. But it's also going to rely on, like, the Raptors bench was non-existent for the Philly series. That can't be the case. OG still
they played 7 guys last game,
and that's problematic because at the end of the day, you need like they were able to expose the Sixers a bit because the Sixers bench wasn't that great. I mean, Scott is a decent Raptor killer, but he didn't have a huge thing. But and then you look at Greg Monroe was getting minutes, and then Boban. Truthfully, I think one of the things that Brown did incorrectly was I think they could have used Boban more because when he was actually in there, he actually performed reasonably well.
Performed well, yeah. Especially if you have Gasol in there.
I don't see like Greg Monroe had a bit of an impact the first couple of games, but like that's not a guy that was the Raptors like 13th man in some games. So their depth got a little bit, and then Milwaukee's not gonna have that issue because they're gonna have guys that come off the bench that
they'll
are
play 10 guys that can play.
Yeah, you're gonna have Ilyasova. You're gonna have like Connaughton. You're gonna have guys that can play. So the Raptors bench has to at least match them. And then there's with Mirotic, 3-point shooting is gonna be because both like Lopez and Mirotic like to shoot the threes. So it's gonna be of who basically cancels each other out and who has the better series that's gonna win it. I don't think it's gonna be Kawhi is gonna dominate like Giannis or vice versa. I think it's gonna be the role players that are gonna.
Effort.
Yeah, is Pascal going to outplay Middleton? Is Kyle going to again Bledsoe? 3 blocks. He was hustling all over the place. He's a bulldog too.
Yeah.
So like Kyle's gonna have to stick with that, and Brogdon and Danny Green. It's a matchup series for the whole situation. And then the big man, you look at Serge, you look at Mark, then you look at Mirotic, and then you look at Lopez. It's those are the guys that are gonna win the game because I think Kawhi and Giannis will cancel each other out. Yeah. And again, who matches up with who is again who's gonna be guarding Kawhi? Like, I mean, I heard something that they're gonna put Giannis on. I don't believe that's gonna be the case.
On Kawhi?
I think it's gonna be Middleton. I think Middleton did a pretty good job on Kawhi in the series.
Middleton's a capable.
And then like you look at Giannis, do you put Kawhi on him? Do you put Pascal on him? Well, Gasol, I don't think Gasol can do it because Gasol doesn't have the quickness. So I would think that would be a problem for that. I think you'd have to put Pascal on him and see what happens. So
and then you put Gasol on Lopez, I guess.
Again, I would personally.
Or do you not play
I would personally try to make a situation where I would like. The problem is like if you put Kawhi on him, which I would try to see what would happen there. But then like it's a lot of energy that Kawhi is displaying on the defensive end. He's going to be exhausted on the offensive end. So I figure it's going to be Pascal. I don't think Mark can do it. I think Mark's going to have to. Do I think that Ibaka and Gasol could legitimately cancel out Lopez? Like Lopez
had a bad series.
He did. Yeah. Then I personally think Mirotic is a good player. I think he can ball. So it's going to be an interesting situation there. And I mean that's going to be what the series is going to come down to, in my opinion.
I wanted to talk or two about the Raptors. We kind of got into it, but if the Raptors have any shot at winning the series, Fred, Norm, Serge, and Danny Green are going to have to bring something.
Well, yeah.
Because to be honest, they haven't really brought. Danny Green, I think, he had one game for sure in the last series, right? And the defense is always there. But if he's not playing in the fourth quarter because he can't do anything, like I think it was the game 7 that I was at, that they ran him off the line consistently. That for sure happened. So they ran him off the line. He was forced to take about a 16-footer just by the free throw line, and the dude airballed it. And I'm thinking, like, now this gets back to my Pascal thing. Coaches watch enough tape. They know what your strengths are. They know what your weaknesses are. They're putting you in positions not to succeed. They want to make you uncomfortable. Danny Green's used to chilling at the top of the 3-point line, letting it fly, playing defense, getting back. That guy, whether it be in transition, he's okay. But if he steps inside the 3-point line, he's almost useless because he
tries to dribble and he tries to do some layups,
so
and it looks unnatural to him. He's more of a stopgap shooter.
And that's the thing, because you got to look at Milwaukee and they're saying, okay, Danny Green, it's a pretty simple game plan. Run him off the 3-point line. Is he going to be what he was in Game 7 for the whole series? Because if he is, that's going to be a big problem.
That's fair. And then you look at the Bucks don't like to really like bring the double teams, and I think Philly tries to do that.
Yeah, they don't need to. The Raptors, yeah.
But again, like that leaves the Kawhi 1-on-1 against Middleton or whoever it might be. That might play into the Raptors' hands a little bit. During the actual season series, Pascal was actually the leading scorer. Kawhi was
out for a few of them, though. Yeah, I know for sure the first one he was out.
The first one he was out. I think he finished with 21. I think the leading scorers were actually, it was Pascal was number 1 and number
Kyle
2.
Must have been there just because.
I don't think it was Kyle. Because Kyle had that donut in one of those games where I legitimately criticized him in our group.
Was that the one here where we lost?
The one in Toronto where he ended up with a donut. I think number 2. I think it actually might have been Fred.
Yeah,
I think it might have been Fred that was like the second leading scorer in a lot of those games. So like it's gonna be an interesting situation. They have to come to play. They can't do what they did in the Philly series.
If the bench shows that they're done, they have no shot.
The one game was the game 5 where they blew them up by almost 40 points. everybody was on point there.
Oh,
everybody
came.
And they need that in a
They
reasonably
need that for
consistent
at least
effort.
half the series, or they're done.
Yeah, and again,
Or
like
they're
you blew them out by 40. Like obviously, I'm not expecting them to blow out the Bucks by 40, but I'm expecting guys to be able to hit some shots and guys to get into double
Show that
figures
you
and shoot.
belong.
You need at least 3 guys in double figures in points.
Because now I'm looking at it, so the big thing that everybody was saying about the Raptors last series and their small guards with Norman, Fred, and all these guys was just that the 76ers were too big for them. Fine, right? But how long is that going to last? So now you got Milwaukee. You have a little bit of less size there with Bledsoe, who's just a great defender, right? You got Connaughton, who's not a good defender. He's not as big either. You got your boy George Hill, who's had a bit of a resurgence last, right? So like 16 in the last game in just 21 minutes. Sterling Brown's another big guard. Brogdon's coming back, another capable defender. Like they're not 6'6", 6'7" Butler and Tobias Harris that are 6'8", but this is the series like where you don't have to worry about necessarily, okay, like I have a giant on me, I'm not gonna be able to shoot over. So there's no more excuses for these guys. If they lay an egg in this series, there'll be some serious questions.
What do you mean, like
the Raptors bench guys? Because like the matchup for them is not as bad.
Well, yeah, because again, it also like you look at. I mean, the Sixers didn't, especially in Game 7, they didn't really use Embiid in the post that much. I think that was a big issue that Brown should be criticized for. I think they could have used more of Embiid in the post.
I think that was Embiid's fault, though. I think that was him not asking for the ball down low. What can the coach do?
And again, the situation again with him being sick the whole series, the Raptors don't have. I mean, I don't really fear Lopez in the post. I don't
He's
really fear.
Coming near the post.
I don't think Mirotic is in the post is that much of a huge threat. I think like they dealt with Vucevic, who's a similar player, but again, Mirotic is a better shooter.
They remind me of the Orlando Magic when Dwight Howard was there. Remember, it's like 4 guys out and the one guy Giannis and Dwight Howard going in, right? It's like the kick.
Pretty much it. And then that's going to be the situation. And then obviously their game plan is going to be how to slow down Giannis. And again, not obviously many people can't do it, and his quickness and so forth. They got to slow him down, make him take shots, take as many shots, take him out of the post. And Gasol will be a decent thing there because it'll be a bit more of a problem for him because of Mirotic is shooting and Lopez is shooting. He's probably not going to have to be out there a lot more than he was with Embiid because he was again battling more in the post. So that'll be an interesting situation because you won't surge, crash. You're gonna have to cover more space, and they legitimately like Lopez is. I mean, I saw Lopez like with the Raptors this year. He was hitting a lot of threes from all over the place, so he can hit them, and Mirotic can definitely shoot. So that's gonna be a different situation where they were battling Embiid mostly in the post and not having to really fear his long game. But now I don't know how Nick Nurse is gonna have to come up with something there because that's gonna be a different style defensively. Now the Raptors have been the best defense in the playoffs in terms of allowing points. And Milwaukee hasn't faced a defense like the Raptors have. So that'll be an interesting situation.
Boston, it's funny because Boston on paper is a good defensive team, but they didn't do that good of a job in that series.
And again, Game 1, I saw Paul Pierce say the series was over and all sorts of randomness, and I like took in like I know you and Don's brother Ray took Boston. But I after the first game I was completely calm with it because I'm like,
really?
Yeah, I didn't believe because I'm like, Game 1. Then Boston beat them last year. Maybe that's in their heads a little bit. As soon as they got the Game 2, I'm like, okay, they're settled in. They made some adjustments. Did I expect them to win both games in Boston? No. I don't think that. I don't think anybody expected them to win both in Boston, especially because Boston usually at home was so good. But again, they just couldn't figure out Giannis, and then Kyrie just struggled the entire series. And when a guy's like. I mean, he made some stupid comments about like, I should have shot 30 when he
I want to get to Kyrie. Yeah, I want to get to Kyrie in a second when we come back from break. Let's just let's finish up with the Raptors Bucks series here. Let's make some picks and then throw in like we did last time. What do you think like the X factor for both teams will be if they're gonna win it?
Oh boy. So, clearly we're both running Raptor stuff. Clearly a tad bit biased. I mean, my heart says Raptors in 6. My head says the Bucks win it in 7.
In 7?
In 7, because I think that this will be a big time home court series. Mm-hmm. And like to me, like I think the Raptors need to win one in Milwaukee for sure out of the first 2 games. But I think the Raptors have enough where, again, at home they've been between Game 2 hasn't been Game 2 hasn't been like Game 5 was great. Game 2 wasn't good. Game 7 was a little edgy. But I think that it'll go the max. I think because back and forth, Kawhi will have his games, Giannis will have his games. It'll go back and forth. If the Raptors manage to take one in Milwaukee, then obviously the pick of me Raptors in 6 look good. If they lose both, then this might end up being in 5 for Milwaukee. So it's gonna be an interesting situation. Like obviously I don't think the Raptors can win it in Game 7 in Milwaukee because I think that the home crowd again. I think I read that stat that home teams in Game 7 are like 80% winners. Besides the Nuggets that lost to the Trailblazers, which was a crazy game as well. Like so, I'm gonna leave it at that. Like if you're gonna, I'm gonna go with the heart and say the Raptors win it in 6. But again,
okay.
I'm gonna go Raptors in 6.
It sounded hard to do.
It was because realistically, it could be one of those series where like if they play the way they played against Philly, and I know Ray and you and even me were pretty like Ray thought he was gonna be over in 5.
The Raptors.
The Raptors, and like if they do the same kind of performances, then it's not gonna go 7. It's gonna be a 5 gamer. Like they need all those guys to step up because it can't be Kawhi and plus and Pascal at times plus 11 or whatever it is or plus 6. Like they need guys that'll step up. They need Gasol to be try to get in the double digits. Serge to keep doing what he's doing. Like they're gonna need other guys to step up. Like Fred with 2-point games, he can't be doing this.
No, they'll lose in 5 games if that's the case, which is what worries me. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, right? I've been talking with Parker for most of the year too, and the thing with the Bucks is that kind of has me on edge. Is I believe it's the 96 Bulls? Was that a big team? Was that their best team?
Where they won
the 70 games?
The record, yeah.
Okay. So it's 96 Bulls, 2015, 2016 Warriors, and this year's Bucks had the highest point differential over the course of a season in NBA history.
Okay.
And I think that the 4th team might have been like the Kareem Lakers. The 5th team might have been like the Worthy Lakers. So pretty much all the teams that had, I believe that it was at least 8 to 10 point differential over the season, won the NBA championship. So that has been in my head, and it's been kind of like deterring me from going against the Bucks the whole year. And even like I said at the beginning of the year, I said Golden State's not winning, and I'm sticking with that. Now it's Durant's out, right? Like now Durant's out, so like cards keep falling.
Okay, well, we'll get to that afterwards, and
we'll get to that next series. But just getting to that, like I said, I'm still on the wagon where it's like I don't see Golden State winning, and I feel like that's lining up. My heart is clearly telling me the Raptors because I can't go against Kawhi and what he's done in the playoffs this year. He's just. But the thing that really scares me is their bench. And they used to be, especially last year before the Kawhi trade, they had by far the deepest team in the league. They were running 7 guys off the bench. That could get you at least 10 points. After they traded DeMar, now with the trades at the deadline, they're rolling with 2 guys off the bench, Fred and Serge, right? Because Norm didn't even play last game. Bucks, to me, have the by far roster top to bottom. I don't even think it's close, to be honest. I don't think it's close. If you take Kawhi and Giannis off the team, I still think the Bucks would win like 8 out of 10 games.
Really?
Yeah. Well, look at the beginning of the year. When they played each other at the beginning of the year, both guys were out. I think it was like maybe 3 weeks into the season. Okay. Both teams were undefeated. We got spanked in Milwaukee by like 25. The game wasn't even close. I do think that the Bucks are the much better team if you take away the 2 players, especially now, like I said, with the lack of depth. As much as I have something in my ear, my conscience telling me don't pick the Raptors. I'm rolling Raptors.
I'm
rolling Raptors. I picked them to get to the finals, and I do feel, I'm going to say this as well, I do feel that whoever wins this series will win the championship. More likely for the Bucks. You don't want to hear that. More likely for the Bucks, but I think that whoever wins this series, Raptors or Bucks, destiny's on their side.
And the X factor. So for me, for Toronto, I think it has to be Kyle. And I'm being legitimate with this because like if Kyle lays eggs, I think they're done.
It might be done in 5.
This needs to be Kyle's best series as a Raptor, to be honest. Yeah. I think he needs to step up and be hitting shots, play that D. He's got to match Bledsoe.
And that's a decent matchup for him.
It is. It's a decent matchup. Again, he's struggled all year against the Bucks. He needs, again, we can't have goose eggs. Kyle needs to step up and have his best series as a Raptor. And if he does, and Pascal and Kawhi, then I can see them definitely winning the series. He's the X factor for me. On the Bucks, I think the X factor is going to be Brogdon and what he brings. If he's injured, if he's not, I think Middleton will do what he does. I think Brogdon is the guy that can be a legit third scorer. Asking Mirotic for them, but
15 points.
I think Bledsoe and they have a lot of depth guys that can go, but you just gotta hope that one of those situations that George Hill that they end up struggling from the field or whatever it ends up being. And maybe the moment gets too big for some of them, and that'll be the case. But I think Brogdon, I like him when he won Rookie of the Year. He's a good shooter. Yeah, he's injured, but I think that'll be the situation there. And the Raptors, like you said, Raptors bench, you don't know what you're going to get. I think McCaw actually showed me, but he might get some more minutes.
Yeah, maybe.
OG will be back at some point, but he's been out for a month.
They've said that they don't think he's coming back. That's the only
Well,
thing.
he said he's going to resume stuff in about a week. So depending on how long the series goes.
Get back into shape and all that, right?
So that's a bit of a problem with the appendectomy, but all in all, like I said, I mean, I haven't seen anything of Jeremy Lin. I'm surprised that they've completely benched him.
I'm not surprised at all, and I've been saying that all year since they got him. He doesn't look like he belongs in the league. I'm going to go with Brogdon as well for Milwaukee because I think that he might be their best shooter. And like you look at Middleton, and he's their 3-and-D guy, and they're all-star this year. But Brogdon shot 42% from three, 15.5 points a game.
Yeah.
He slept on. And with Mirotic just kind of, once he's been hurt for the last month or two, month and a half, Mirotic just stepped in pretty well for them and contributed with like 14 points or whatever. But for the Raptors, I like your Kyle pick. I don't want to pick the same guy. I'm going to go with Pascal because like you said earlier, when they played the Bucks this year, he was the guy for them, right? And it's a good matchup for them because Milwaukee's a pretty athletic team, but it seems for whatever reason, there were lanes for Pascal to get through to the rim, and that's his game, right? Finish at the rim, spin off guys. If Pascal can average 18 to 20 points in this series, which for him is not that crazy because he did it pretty much all year. If he can do his season averages, that's the Raptors' best shot. I think that even if Kyle, if you can get, like you said, 14 points from him, play his good defense. He had a few timely steals in Game 7.
I mean, the big thing is I remember, again, I think it was Game 4 of the Celtics series where Giannis got into foul trouble and so did Milton. They were both off the floor. The game was tied, and they went on like a 13-point run with those guys.
Pelicans win and will select first overall. Did I not call that?
Wow.
I did say the Pelicans were going to win first overall. I took screenshots because I kind of predicted that. Wow.
Well, you know what? After what happened with Davis and Davis not wanting to play there, I mean, that's probably one of the worst case scenarios for the league, if I'm being honest, because they don't want to. I mean, I guess you heard it out here first and on the blog when we were doing this. In terms of marketing, it's not. Obviously, the league didn't want them in a bigger market. I don't know where the Knicks ended up.
Maybe Davis resigns now.
I don't think so. I think too many bridges have been burned in that. I don't see that happening.
Man.
I personally, if I was a Pelicans fan, I wouldn't take him back basically off of what he did.
Memphis 2, New York 3, Lakers 4, Cleveland 5, Phoenix 6, Bulls 7, Atlanta 8.
Oh wow! But that Memphis pick might actually be Boston's.
No, I think it's top 3 protected, so they can get RJ or Ja. So
was that what it was?
Yep. They'll get Morant.
Lucky for them there. Imagine
top 3 protected. So then the Knicks get RJ. That's great for Canada basketball going to New York if he stays, right? If they don't trade that pick.
And the Lakers got 4th?
Yeah.
Wow, the Lakers moved all the way up to 4th.
Where were they before?
They were like 12th. The Lakers moved up. The Lakers moved up like quite a bit. That's really
There's a big drop off from 3 to 4 though. With
you know what? That'll be it right there.
A trade chip maybe.
That'll be it right there. That'll be the 4 going to New Orleans for Anthony Davis right there. Plus a couple more pieces. I can see that going down right there. They moved
just
up,
got real interesting.
Again, the Knicks didn't win the lottery as many thought, but like the Lakers moving up to 4 makes things very interesting because that was not a top 10 pick. They were now they have a top 5 pick. They have a top 4 pick, which that makes things very interesting.
Wow. My phone's probably blowing up. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back because the Pelicans just won the lottery. We're going to come back talking about the West Final on the block. Man, I called it.
Yeah, you did call that. Good on you, man.